He made out like a bandit. Maybe you don't know. They made a movie about him, man. It was the Wolf of Wall Street. You remember the guy?
How did you get back on the boat?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure they probably threw him a life
one of
vest.
these rivers.
Gross.
It's so disgusting. it's like brown.
Might be eaten by some mutant fish.
Dude, seriously.
Eels.
Eels.
Eels. There are eels. There was a story back in the Times a couple years back that the eels have returned to the piers as a sign of how healthy the water is.
Oh, great.
Thanks. Just what I needed.
Whenever
I was better off when the eels weren't.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like, does this mean the eels can survive and there's enough things for them to eat, like oxygen, body parts and the like in the water?
Whenever I see that, I always think that Seinfeld episode where Kramer goes swimming. In
yeah.
Like, yeah, Jerry, you know, just get my exercise in. It's like, you know, we said stuff. It's like swimming in the East River.
Yeah, I remember that episode.
You want to light? Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, I don't want to be ranking people. This is bad.
Guest judge.
Oh, guest judge.
Yeah. Those damn FD people voting zeros for everything.
Guys, you want to play? Okay, so maybe we can start.
Grade. Appropriate.
Okay, maybe we have to try.
If every table votes for the table to the right, that will tie the vote,
I like that.
Yeah. That'll mess things
They'll
up.
make things pretty even.
Yeah, exactly. So put the pressure on the real judges.
So let's start. Just a quick reminder, you will have 5 minutes, and after the 4th minute I will make a little sign so you will know that you've got to wrap it up. You will be able to ask questions to the team who is pitching, and you will be also able to vote for them, and there will be a kind of audience choice award. So let's start by the FT. So 5 minutes.
See if this connector works again.
Yeah.
Well, while he's setting that up, basically we wanted to follow the theme of the conference, which is, building loyalty, creating customized content, personalizing for the user, and some background about Financial Times is it's a global business newspaper, so we also have a really intense firewall. So nearly everyone that's on the website is a subscriber who already has an account. And right now, the account page, he's not on it, but has no interesting information besides how we bill you. So we wanted to kind of personalize it and include some of the tools that we already offer. There's a lot of personalized things that you can get about, what companies you want to follow, keywords, offers. We have a lot of different newsletter combos that you can sign up for, but there's no central location to find that information. So we created a My FT sort of portal where you can.
This is taking a little while. Sorry, guys. It's the internet. There we go.
There. So it's a space where you can kind of see what articles you've saved, what articles you've commented on, all of your articles that you've browsed, and then kind of easy access to those alerts and email newsletters that I mentioned. So Ben can show you kind of exactly how the page works.
So right now, it's as good a starting point as any. For this demonstration, we basically don't have much history. I've left one article history, part of this Tranquil Markets, to let you know that there is a placeholder there, but essentially my Benjamin Freeze account is empty. I haven't saved any articles, I haven't done any commenting on any of the articles, and that's the only one I have. So if I just go to a couple articles, let's see if there was something interesting here, like military helicopters. That sounds cool. Sorry for the judges that have already heard this, but And then I say, okay, well, this is a cool page. Maybe I don't want to read this anymore. Maybe I'm on the banks. Okay. So what this is doing right now is this is adding history, which, as we said on before, it's we have this on this my FT. If I ever want to go back to anything I hadn't been to before, or if I want to go to anything that I would like to save, I have this central repository of all this different content. And then for anything that I've commented on, whatnot. Okay, and so just do one more after this. Read that guy, cool. And now I want to read something completely different, like Dr. Dre. He's very cool. This is a great article that I absolutely love, and I'm going to go ahead and share this with 1 million people, but I don't ever want to forget about this. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. Up here.
Made a button to save.
Right. This is a modified FT site. This is the real one over here. Anywho. So now it's saved. And down here in the comments section, not all articles have comments, but I would like to add some stuff here. Let's just say JK has nothing on Gray or something. That's my 2 cents. And lo and behold, there it is. So I can close my browser and do whatever. And then if I ever want to come back and say, oh, you know what? A week ago I really liked that Dre article, but I want to go through my history, my browser history to find this thing. I just go to the website because I already have it saved, and I can just link it to whoever I want, no problem. And here is it's saved. It's where I was recently. As you see, these are all the pages that I visited. And this is my comment that said how Dr. Dre is so much better than Jay-Z. So that's part of the MyFT experience that we really wanted to bring. The FT doesn't have much of that right now. It's more of a account-based type thing. You'll notice that there's a lot of redundant information here, like my name is in 2 places. A lot of this information be kind of, what? Oh, are we really? Anyway, the stuff can be really consolidated, which we did, into 3 additional tabs: alerts, newsletters, and account. Account has all your billing. Newsletters has anything that you want to, yeah, you guys know what it comes with.
So yeah, with the MyFT, it's all about the user.
By the way, right before we go, it was really important for us to build something that we could take back. Obviously, modifying the real FT site in 2 days, and, well, it'd be a lot of trouble. And on top of that, too, it would really be feasible to do different articles. But we wanted to build something we could take back and say, hey, look, this is a problem we have at the FT. We feel this is a solution. Pitch that, and maybe we could actually roll it out. And that we did that here. So. Anyway,
I just have one quick question. On the comment history, and you click on that link, will it kick you directly to the comment in the section?
yes, it will.
Okay.
It will. It says scroll bar. So, yeah.
And how long will it take to implement this feature?
That's a good question, because there's the time to actually create it and deploy it, and there's the time where you have to deliberate and figure out if people like it or not.
That you created.
Right. So in this mock-up session, this was pretty easy to create, but we would need to roll this out into our code base in London. Both of us work out in New York. We'd have to have people like Robert Trimsley, who's the head of FT.com. We'd have to have his approval, and he would need to consult with all the designers and those people. That deliberation process will take a month to decide whether they want to roll something out that we've already built in a week.
Is the idea that this has become a regular destination for the user to, because a lot of it's historical, is there anything like that will push information based on everything that you've done in the past? Like,
We have at the end of every article already recommended articles. But what we could do with this new information is we've introduced the idea of saving an article. That could create a whole database on its own to make better recommendations. But it is all based historical. But I think that's because our readers are already invested, and so are already doing it at work. So
One of the issues that we find is that our readers actually read quite a bit. If you've gone ahead and decided that you're going to pay for this, then you actually are consuming as much as you possibly can. Especially a lot of the readers are getting it either through their company your Wall Street Journal, you want to have access to the FT to see what your competitors are doing or whatnot. But you will like an article, maybe you like the New York Times and they did a really great thing on data analytics for politics or whatnot. And you say, hey, I want to look at this again. But you're also looking at 30 different FT pages or 30 different New York Times pages a day. You're going to lose that. Or maybe you decided you're going to bookmark it, but then you'll have 500 bookmarks by the end of the year. So we wanted to have this easy access place to go to, which we currently don't have at the FT. So for you guys, we have put together one has green links that has all the links that you can go to in order. Because there's 100 million different links you can generate all the pages, right?
My question is how long would it take to develop this, not to...
Oh, the development is the only thing.
Yeah.
Maybe very short development is just the process of getting people to jump on board.
Yeah,
They have
sure.
it's if Robert Truman said we could do this today, then it would be developed and we could build out. Promise that there are other people developing other things, in parallel with us. And,
Aside from the save page option, all the other data is already collected, and you just need to.
yeah, actually, he does a great job of collecting all the stuff.
Yeah.
They don't do a good job of displaying it. It's very piecemeal, and
So it's easy for you to get to it. You just need to put it in a central
yes,
repository.
that was the big thing for us. There's no history. There is a save that's called clippings, and it's not easy. In fact, I didn't even know it was there. She found it yesterday. There are a lot of additional features that are really cool, and nobody knows about them.
Right. It's like data being wasted. It's used in really useful ways, but it's just not being leveraged right now.
Absolutely. So the people that are using it, we want to keep them on as long as possible. And make it easy to use the tools we built.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, after our obligatory Microsoft crash, let's see if we can make this work. Hey! There we go. So, this is Justin McDonald. I'm Brian Hoops. We come to you from Deseret Digital Media. We're a conglomerate of media websites. We have a newspaper, a TV station, and a few radio stations. So we work in the classified world on these media websites. So we came up with a product called You May Want to Drive. So here's the problem. We noticed that we were getting a lot of drop-offs in our website. 63 drops from this BMW ad in our cars section, and a 74% bounce rate. So they were really coming in and running for the hills. So we took a look at it a little closer thanks to the C-Sense tools, and we noticed that, well, there's a Facebook, and there's Facebook, and there's a Facebook, and there's a Facebook, and there's this little tiny KSL, which is where it should be, and that's where they should be going. So our hypothesis, as I stated, we believe that users aren't presented with deeper content, so they turn around and go back to where they came from. So you'll notice this is the way. There's nowhere else for them to go. They could click on this. It says back to listings, but there's no real incentive for them to do that. They don't really care. They just came from a link from Facebook, and so they just turn around and leave. So our hypothesis is if we present the user with other relevant content, we'll decrease that bounce rate. So we came up with this idea of You May Also Want to Drive. The implementation was great. We used the C-Sense tools and the wonderful resources here in the room. Thanks, guys. And we implemented a recommendation engine. This is actually how it came out. And this is actually live on the site as of earlier this morning. As a side note, we'll be the first to do this. There are other e-commerce websites that do recommendations, but not in the cars space. We checked out AutoTrader, Cars.com, eBay Motors. Those are when my boss says, well, what's somebody else doing? Those are the place he checks. And so we'll be the first. So if you want to test this out, you can pull up on your websites. In fact, let's give it a roll here, if I can make it work. Here we go.
What's the URL? Oh,
ksl.com/auto. And if you scroll down a little bit past all the search fun, you'll see these are recently posted ads on our website. So here's a Chrysler 300 we'll take a look at. So here's our Chrysler. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see some other Chryslers. So even if you're not coming from Facebook and you are just searching for another site, you should be able to just click on this. You don't have to go back to the search results. You can just go through and see other things. This is currently based on contextual, but we can turn on what other users similar to this user have been doing. So in theory, it would match them up and do a little bit of retargeting. Okay, and we can also push this out to our other verticals. So we have homes and jobs and general classifieds, and Justin works on deals and local, and this can go there fairly easily. We're already collecting the data. We just have to build the widget, get it on the page in a place that makes sense. So the results. Like I said, this has been on the site for a little while. Not a ton. We actually do have a little bit more up-to-date data, but so we had 33,000 impressions, nearly 700 clicks, with a click-through rate of 2.08%, which is really good. If it were an ad, I think my boss would be jumping up and down. So this definitely pulls people into our site, and it makes the site a whole lot stickier. Questions? Woohoo!
Question. Any thoughts about using something maybe like Facebook and tying the data that they have into the results that you display? The social graph, and using that as another way to understand better who's looking at the page.
That's definitely a great idea. Yep. Another thing we've considered is actually adding in a tie on the confirmation page to push to Facebook, so we can kind of get that two-way. If we can keep users that are coming from Facebook, then let's get all our content out there and try and hold on to people coming back.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Other questions? Okay, so thanks a lot.
I'm just standing down here because I'm tall. I don't know why he's up here. I'm Ken Amos. This is Steve Nelson. This is Linda Cook. And we're from the Florida Tax Union and Jacksonville.com. Just brief background. I'm going to rush through this a little bit, but obviously we're a media company. We're proud of what we do, but the bottom line is we must be better. We want to invite our users along on this journey. We want to get in shape, and we're going to do it by offering a program called Social Yoga. What is social yoga? Again, I'm going to, instead of slightly doing these, just kind of give you the quick framework. It'll be part homepage, part mobile app. Linda has a site development that she's been working on, both of those, to show that it can be done. And what we're finding is, obviously, there's so many bounce rates. You can throw the numbers out. You can talk about one and dones all you want. People are more and more reliant upon getting their information from trusted sources, and often those trusted sources aren't necessarily congregating at the watering hole of a homepage. They're friends, their acquaintances, their neighbors, their family. They're people who want to trust, or excuse me, they want to share reputable information. We want to be that reputable source. We want to get it out there quickly, and we want to give people a vehicle for that to happen. I'll bypass the physical fitness joke there. We're going to do this through a new philosophy that we're going to be adopting in terms of how we are presenting just the best content that we have, and instead of letting hundreds of stories just flow through the site, the Deseret folks. But we're adopting that model, and we're calling ours Morris Connect, because we're kind of going into that direction as well. We want to make it highly visible on our homepage. We want it to be an app. We want to create a better way of life for people, more sustained participation, and a wider audience reach. We also want to make it a rewards-based component where people can come to the site and have rewards based on sharing. And as part of this, we'll be able to keep track of how much people have shared and what the most shared stories are. There's a little bit of a carrot to this too, that we also might want to embed a couple of randomized pieces of content. Think every daily double, where you can earn extra points by sharing. Sorry. I'll give you that all at once. We realize everybody shares the traditional content, but we don't think about the non-traditional, including births, engagements, weddings, obituaries. People may want to create their own pages, and we do have that ability. And we'll switch back to sites that can show you how that can be done. And if you want to create a page, we may create a 5 or 6 position page. If you create that many shares within a day, and you successfully created the page, you may earn some bonus points. Sorry, that was me going backwards. Again, we wanted to show you that it is definitely mobile intuitive. We're incentivizing sharing. There will be tie-in opportunities with prominent local advertisers to make it worthwhile for people to want to share. We also believe that this will be a marketing dream just by the sheer name. It'll be unique to all of our products company-wide. It will create their brand awareness through all social media. It will energize users, and it will maybe keep us employed a little longer, given the newspaper industry. So, social yoga, this is just kind of a little reminder to us of what we want it to be, how it can be used. Whoops, did not mean to go past that last one there because I did want to say what not to say. You want to talk a little bit about the site development?
1 minute.
So,
1 minute. Okay, well.
yeah, it did pretty well.
Yeah, it did great. Just let you look at the site. We are already using CSense to a certain extent. But what we need is for people to come to the site. It's moving slowly. So that's why we want to provide an incentive to share. And then once we get them in there, we want to provide for them recommendations to entice them to read stories on our site and also share them as well. So, but thinking that people are more loyal to other people rather than to a site or something that's kind of just non-existent. People are loyal to other people. And whenever someone shares something with you and you care about that person, you're more likely to go and look at it.
There's a low trust factor of loyalty right now that exists, and we want to be part of the change.
So it would be nice. We have some really wonderful reporters and journalists and material on our site, and we want to get that out there, and we would really like for people to share it and bring more people to the site. And also we can benefit by knowing what stories are shared the most, and we can reward our subscribers for sharing stories. And that kind of fed into, Ken came up with a really great idea of creating content based on what our subscribers share. So they would even be able to have their own personalized page, or there could even be a block,
I'd like
say
to
like
take
in the
credit
right
for that, but
rail.
that's a lot of what CSense does
Okay,
for us.
great.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, sorry.
Okay.
Questions?
And, yeah.
You don't have a paywall.
We do have we have a platform where you get 4 frees, and then we do hit a like box.
So how many people have a profile already? Do you have a profile already on?
We have an extensive profile database.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How do you, so when you come onto the site, how do you first approach this? So do you click on the social yoga or?
Those will eventually become rollovers that will give you a little bit more of an explanation of what you can do, and as you click on each model, there will be the small elements, the identifiable yoga elements that you can roll over and say, I want Pinterest, I want to immediately share it to some other place. So we will create the live links.
And Chris, my shares went away.
Yeah, the shares went away, and so did our little pocket type, but that's okay.
Black bear caught
But they
chilling
were
in
there.
Florida homeowner's hammock. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't that wonderful? I mean, you know.
Yesterday was a rattlesnake.
Oh,
but-
wait, yeah, the
You go from rattlesnake to bears in 2
There's
days.
the rattlesnake
You
guy
Is
right
that
there.
real?
Oh, that's totally real.
Yeah.
Welcome to Florida.
That's ridiculous.
Y'all come down now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we have wonderful content.
We just want to share it.
Share it.
If you got to see that with you, definitely gonna get some more heads.
Right.
It's amazing.
Anything else? Thank you all.
Thank you.
I would just lose it. Really? Oh, what do we got going for stuff with the computer? Do we have a VJ adapter? Where is it? I think that's on the computer. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yay! Suspense.
Okay.
Sure. So this is Goalkeeper. The idea is we wanted to take an event coming up that's already a huge traffic event for Reuters and come up with something fun that would offer us an opportunity to showcase Reuters content, existing content, move people around, and bring people back again and again. Right. Right. How can we build and sustain brand loyalty, circulate the audience through Reuters, and also something that would be fun? Yeah. So meet Goalkeeper. Do you want to take over?
Yeah. So basically, it's a widget that sits on a white label site. Here, so that's the widget. You can see here the predictions that people have and the upcoming games, and that's their predictions. This is an indicator of how much they read from the site. So basically, there's a novice, intermediate, and an expert, and this is a moving average based on how much you participate in past X days. So it kind of like encourages you to keep going and reading. You can just reach a level and then kind of like stay there. And then if I, this is plugged into the backend, so if I will do some time traveling, so it tells change, because the game has not started with kind of multiple data, but you know, if I'll move another day forward, for example, next day at 8 a.m. and then refresh that, then you'll see that data has changed, and then my prediction has changed. And also here I can choose the next game, the next day, the next 24 hours. I can do my betting, and also I can click on the different teams, and then it will take me back to the white label site if I want to read about the team. So that's another way.
I think we missed a critical bit, which is that when you sign up via Facebook, and then you pick people to play against from Facebook. And then there's another, what's that? The PowerPoint was. Right. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'll go back.
And so, and you can also select your favorite team, your favorite player, and that will automatically, Reuters has already created pages, news pages, which is both archived, you know, slideshows, video, like interviews, game interviews, as well as all of the articles. So that will take you, so while you're playing this, you can always just like click on your favorite team and see what's going on. And then also another way to sort of help you engage with Reuters, the voting period opens 24 hours before each game, which encourages people to come back again and again. And if you're not sure, you know, like what is Brazil? How is Brazil this year? You can click on Brazil, and then of course that gives you a higher expertise level by reading more stories.
So as you can see, we implemented, you know, part of the features. We did plug it into our white label solution that we're currently providing to customers, but this can also be used to other things like the elections or the Oscars or any kind of big sporting event, any playoffs, you know, the Champions League. So that's something we're considering.
Also be sponsored. I think they could also create ad revenue by being sponsored. You know, this could, if you have like two different profiles, you have like a general population of players that you're betting against, and you can also just see it by your friends. So you can, like, you know, open it up to a lot of people or narrow it down depending on the preference.
Yeah. And it ties also, I mean, we have a lot of now kind of like a new business about what's called brands as publishers. So they are kind of sponsoring content as a more natural way to interact with the brands. And this can be another stuff like Adidas or, you know, Red Bull or brands that revolve around different types of sports.
And also, just one other thought on this, sort of the idea of a one-stop shop with something like the elections. Like, let's say we did this for the presidential primaries. or the night of the, on election day, if you want to figure out who's going to, which political party is going to control the U.S. Senate. Reuters can sort of, the experience of Reuters, I think as a reporter, can be kind of random. You find, it's difficult sometimes to find all of our political news in one place. So this is like a fun tool to sort of make that larger experience easier, where you can come and see, yeah, like if you want to like read up on what's going on in, like a political junkie who's like obsessed with who's going to be able to control the Senate, which is the big story of this election year. Well, like by playing this game, engaging this way, and engaging with their political nerd friends, can also like sort of navigate Reuters a little bit easier.
It's really like a tool, an educational tool. I mean, many people are still like really flabbergasted how the Senate works, how the elections work. They don't know. We have content from different countries. This could be not only in the U.S., but it could be used in any other country. We have like Arabic feeds. We have Chinese, Japanese feeds. We can actually make this open to anyone in different countries.
Yes, like 30 languages.
Cool. Could it be used for to extend it beyond just a single event, something like a stock market game, where you pick a particular company that you think it will beat the larger market or the other particular companies that other people are picking and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, you can
Plug
basically
in
plug
anything
into any data.
It'd be interesting too, because you could actually plug in expert predictions here too. Like if it is about, if it is about the markets, you have predictions that are done almost daily. So you can plug this in and see how you compare to them and what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
I mean, it's a little bit hokey, so it would be weird to put in areas that are too sort of serious. But something that's like, either like politics is a good example because it's a horse race, right? Like sort of seeing it in that way. And then this, right?
But people also do they do kind of like a fantasy portfolio.
Yeah.
If we start
So
moving
say-
markets, with our widget, that would
That's true.
You might have mentioned this, but you get data from, you show what the bookies are predicting as well. That's always interesting, people doing the World Cup.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And same question, how long will it take to implement that? How?
So, this is like, I guess, 24 hours of work, kind of really 24 hours of work. But I think, to get it to kind of production ready, probably another couple of days, and then, integrate it with the system, which we've already started. So we actually even toyed with the idea to really release it for this World Cup, for our white table site. Performance manager. So Monday, you see.
Right? Questions?
Time for that.
Okay, hello. So this is BBC Takeaway, and what we want to do with this is make news consumption as easy and as gratifying as your first morning coffee, where you've chosen your favourite beans, the milk you like, and even the frothiness. And so with this, what we're looking to do is we have a very big site, we have a big audience, but we really want to drive engagement, particularly on mobile web. So this is a mobile first thing and web rather than app for now at least. We also really like to form habits. So we have regular users, but could they come every single day? They're supposed to be 3 times a week. And we really want to fit in with people's lives. So it's about convenience. It's about understanding context, time of day, behaviours, and this really fits in with mobile consumption, we think. And so, as I said, we're a big site. We have a very diverse audience. So what we did was we looked at 2 particular types of user and came up with 2 flavors of takeaway for them. So the first one is the regular user. Actually, I think we have 2 here rather than 1. But this is someone who might come in a few times a week. Currently, like most people in a big city, spends a hell of a lot of time getting to work on public transport, usually with a terrible connection or no connection at all. And in this case, we've imagined a regular user who, because he's a regular user, we know his consumption habits, so we know he likes to catch up with the top stories of the day before he gets to work, be well informed. He also likes tech in this case, like many of our users do. And he actually also wants something to talk about in the office, so I guess what used to be called a kind of water cooler moment type story. And so we put together this morning takeaway for him, and then there might be something slightly different for him in the evening. And Dima will talk you through how all this works.
So I'm just going to quickly go through what it might look like. So a big part of our public service remit is to offer a kind of editorially curated selection of top stories, and we didn't want to miss out on that. It's kind of a good balance between what our editorial hierarchy should be and what personalized content should be. So we imagined an interface which kind of package of content which sits on every page that you go into on the new site and would be positioned accordingly. So for example, on the homepage, it would be after the first 3 stories. Within the takeaway, if we're using the right set of analytics data, it would know based on your previous consumption habits, which offer you the kind of stories that you're more likely to click on and pull them out from other areas of the site. We thought it was also very important to have a sense of how long it takes to consume each thing, because people's time can be very limited when they're on the news. So ultimately, the main crux of this is to, through usage, to have something that's already downloaded as a package for you to read on the tube. You don't have to actually, sit there with nothing to read, or God forbid, read one of the freebie papers. So if someone, in the case of this user, we mentioned already that he's started off his journey on the bus. He's got some 3G connection, but once he goes on the tube, that's it. It's come and go sometimes, and sometimes he doesn't get anything. So if he's a takeaway user, that content, at least that package of the first bit of content, will already be downloaded on his device to use. But if that's not an option for him, like most people might kind of just rush out of the house and not actually check their phone before, when they're in a connected area, then that's where the newsletter would come in. So takeaway is the ability to download when you've actually got connection, and we're quite keen that the name is both a brand and a call to action, so it works as a kind of button that becomes very kind of catchy and becomes kind of a verb type thing. And the email newsletter is just something that you do in a more lazy way. So once you've actually pushed out the offering to people, they become more aware of the email newsletter offering, and they can, if they subscribe to it, they can have their takeaway on their mobile client. They don't have to think about what they're doing. Then of course, just give people the options. You don't want them downloading loads and loads of videos. You don't want them kind of paying lots of money on their 3G or 4G. You have to give them some kind of option of what to do. So we thought it would also be quite useful to have like today's weather and any kind of travel alerts. Some severe delays on one of the lines, it would be nice to know that. And in terms of presentation on the homepage, because this is a mobile-first product, we're very keen that it doesn't take up much space. So we wanted something that can be, once you've seen it, it gets pinned to the top of your page, and you can open it by opening the tab. So that's the kind of regular user. This is the more atypical user, the one we're trying to capture. So Natalie.
So our regular friend, what happens is that when he went home yesterday in the evening, was offered another takeaway in which none of the stories from the morning were repeated. and because it's evening, he actually wanted something to share with his mates, and there was a story about a bear. Again, bears are very popular today. About a bear caught sleeping on an electrical pole. I don't quite understand how that happened. But he put this on Facebook, and his sister, standing there, bus stop, so transport's a theme here, saw it. Now, she checks Facebook obsessively, but really isn't that into, hard news, or at least when she's going to work, she thinks, life is stressful enough, so why should she read about death and destruction in South Sudan all the time? So this casual user kind of got to the bear looking at story from Facebook. And this kind of user rarely goes to a front page or a home page. This kind of user, when they do come to us, they'll come to a story page, and it's usually through social. And so because it's a short story, and it's quite engaging and everyone likes to read about bears, we're assuming she's getting to the bottom of the story. And what we do there is we think, actually, this story's homed in what we call our US and Canada index. But really, does she want to read about the veteran scandal? Possibly not. She came in through Facebook. She actually probably wants to read about paintings made better with cats, which is an amazing story. Or a suitcase that is actually motorising to take to the airport. I don't know where they find these stories, honestly. And again, we hope that this casual user might just become a bit more engaged with the content, and again, she could download this and just, her whole 20-minute journey home could be quite entertaining. And she can share this with more friends, and then we reach even more people. So I'm going to say thank you, and I want to pass on to Sam before we go, who's going to show you.
I'm afraid.
Are we out of time?
Yeah, very out of time.
Okay,
Just in
URL
one sentence, maybe.
Okay, just say what we. It says URL there. You can go to bit.ly/BBC Takeaway and see what we built. I think Natalie will just put it on there for you. And it's a copy of the site because we couldn't actually use our site. And we are using CSense to offer the personalised recommendation.
Questions?
That's the actual first time. So we opened it in two separate browsers. Responsive side.
And in the square boxes there, we've got the durations, which I don't know if that was clear from the design, because it's about takeaway and people having enough time to read the articles. So that was one of the clear points.
So, one question. How often would these get refreshed? If I managed to get through these quickly, would I no longer have any other content, or would it be able to refresh it with additional
If you're online, it would swap in content. Offline, it might be a bit more difficult. I mean, there is a show more, so it would give you a couple more, but that's it. So that's why it's important to kind of know what your journey is, really.
Right.
If you're talking about a morning commute or something like that.
We were thinking with the user settings that we might allow them to, so we might have a default of say 10, but the user could up to 30 or choose longer articles. So here we've got a lot of like 60-second articles, but the user might only have a half-an-hour journey and pick 5-minute features to read, or even longer.
Is that content, are you running like a API?
We're using CSense for this. So we're not actually running the script on our site, but what we've done with the help of some very clever people from CSense the last few days, we've used their, they've got like an endpoint that we've posted all our URLs to. So this is actually BBC content that we can get back out of CSense.
So through CSense you can get images of titles, sponsors, stuff.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Trying to keep it short. Yes.
Okay, so thanks a lot.
No.
just get us started. All right. Ready? So we're from Montclair State University. We're a school of communication and media. We don't have a big news operation, a big media operation. We do have a journalism school, and we're enjoying learning things nobody else here being here. So we took a little broader approach as to you want to try to pull in your readers and build loyalty. What do you do there? What do you go after? Your readers are often passionate. They care about things. You're objective journalists. You're writing objective news stories. But underneath those news stories, there are things that readers really care about. You know, they'll read stories about the war in Syria. They're not reading that because they want to read about blood and guts and gore. They care about underlying issues. It might be, for example, about refugees. They may care about people, poor people being forced out of their homes by the war. They read a story about the NSA, Edward Snowden. And everybody says, well, why do they care about that? Because they care about their own privacy. They care about these issues that affect them and their own lives. There are causes that they're passionate about attached to the news stories you're doing. Maybe freedom of speech, maybe something else. Read an article about breast cancer. People read an article about breast cancer, it's probably because someone in their family is facing it, has faced it. It's something they're worried about, they're concerned about. There's a cause underlying that. In this case, it's just the obvious. You know, they're concerned about breast cancer. So you've got readers that have passions. You want them to be passionate about your site. And that's the problem. How do you pull those passions out and translate into something for your site? And we're trying to figure out what's the hook for all of this. And one thing, obviously, is money. Readers would love to be able to somehow donate money to all those causes. Your readers don't have that money. There's no obvious way to get it. So we thought about, well, does your organization have any passion? You're objective, you're journalists, you don't take sides and have biases particularly much, but your corporate headquarters does. Maybe more than you even think they do. So what are the company's passions? The folks, the Disney folks, they own ABC News, they own ESPN, they own A&E. They've got a lot of stuff they donate money to. They donate several $1 million to the Sandy relief. ESPN is doing the Special Olympics. They're doing a project with the National Park Foundation. There's a Star Wars tie-in. I don't know how many different things Disney's donating money to. Our friends here at Reuters, there is a foundation you guys can donate up to $150,000. Reuters employees can nominate there for community groups. That's the employees making that choice. And News Corps, Mr. Murdoch, this week announced he's donating $20 million to a charity in Hollywood that helps retired Hollywood crew members, which, given that Fox is big in the entertainment business, it makes some sense for Fox's employees and current employees and former employees. But none of this ties to readers. So that was what we thought, well, what if you did? What if you convinced Rupert to take 5%, just 5%, of that one donation? And the math, to make the math easier, 1.2 million. Well, that's $100,000 a month that you could let readers direct, and tell your readers, what do you want it to go, So when you come to the health page, we would use the CSense data to track what you've been doing, and then we would say, okay, what should we do with the money? Because you care about health. What do you want?
Oh yeah, just wait. I'll be very quick. Okay, you call it Read for Life. Reading for life. Reading the news has never helped so many people. Just by simply reading the news, you will tell these corporate organizations where they should spend their charitable donations. Rather than Hollywood crew members, we would spend it at the Wounded Warrior Project, UNICEF. And how would we decide this? Millions of people read the news each day. Just by reading the news, you could fight world hunger. It sounds like a pie-in-the-sky idea. But if you were just reading the news, we can empower readers to determine where publishers donate their money. Powered by the user data collection engine that we're using today, our application links user insight analytics to determine what type of content users are reading. The analytics software, in order to drive people deeper into the sites, automatically categorizes what types of stories it's collecting and puts them into general categories. We're going to use that data to then connect the charitable nations to where we want to send the charitable money to. For example, we have a site that, this is actually sample data, but this is just a very generic algorithm that the analytics software uses to categorize the stories. Entertainment, fashion, finance, government, lifestyle, news, technology, and travel. Publishers will set a monthly charity budget. They work like Google AdWords. I'm a huge publisher. I want to spend $100,000 a month. I'm a little publisher. I want to spend $5 a month. The percentage breakdown of what stories their people are reading is the percentage that the publisher will be donating to charities. And the way that they donate to charities, I mean, you don't have to form a partnership with charities. They will take your money. So literally, implementation is very easy. Okay, we envision our application to basically be a market add-on to what would be analytics software, mainly because the analytics software is a paid subscription. So the paid subscription, they're already taking the customer's credit card number. So as an add-on, you'd basically be, saying like, okay, like if you want to participate in our, in Read Life, you already have your credit card number. It utilizes already existing analytics information to process donations and shares. Okay, the user, the first or second time they visit the site, they won't have any idea that they're even donating more than just a little logo on the site that says, hey, it's Read for Life. As they begin to read more, the analytics software targets them because it knows that they're coming back to the site and it's giving them new data, so it knows by IP address who's coming back. If you're a return user and a publisher, let's say for a news story, has 3 charities that they would like to donate to, if you're a return user, a pop-up will say, hey, you're reading mostly world news stories, and these are the organizations that we are partnered to donate to. Which one would you rather your funds go to? As a user who's a returning user, they would also have full statistics in terms of how the percentage of their viewing time, their reading time is being donated to causes, and then there would also be a spit out of what everybody's reading time on this publication site is donating to causes. Conclusion.
The difficulty there, that's the interesting thing, is we're not sure. We're thinking about running that over something like Fox News, and what charities would it break out? What would you learn about the readers for Fox News or anybody's site? I think it'd be fascinating to see how the breakout is in terms of where people wanted their money to go.
Can I talk about this for a second?
Oh yeah, we actually did.
So this is our prototype. This is the site that we created for our journalism students at Montclair State University School of Communications and Media. And as part of our program, our journalism students publish stories from all over the world through grants. We take them everywhere. We take them to Jordan, we take them to Africa, we take them to London, South America. Basically try to give our students the most intensive journalism program while they're in school. So if any news organizations get any internship requests from students from Montclair State University, I'd be very happy to provide any recommendations that you might need.
Nice.
Okay, as we scroll down through our story queue, we notice that we have implemented the just a pretty simple spit out of what the CSETS data does. But really, we're really not looking at this in terms of people clicking through the site. We're looking at it in terms of the type of data that the engine is storing, which is the category data, which then we know from the category data where to send the donations to.
And in terms of what you get out of it, I mean, obviously, and I've been in the news business a long time too, getting your corporate headquarters to agree to do this is a headache. Ellen Moyers of Reuters Marketing was here Friday. We all love to pick on them, but the marketing department has a lot of money. It's not just from like in corporate headquarters, it's also marketing folks that say, the ideas they come up with often, we shake our heads and kind of go, why did you spend $100,000 on this marketing program, billboards on, on buses and kind of stuff around town? Our site should sell itself. Get some of that money, try it. One thing what you're doing, whatever they're donating to charity, you're leveraging it because it's running through your site, through your readers. So the $100,000 is going to go anyway. You at least get more out of it. Hopefully your readers get a much closer contact, not just with you, but also with the causes they care about. They read more, you feed them stories about the things that you know more about. And the charities get the money anyway. We didn't have one little thing, twist. At the end of the year when you get the money, you can also add a button and say, you want to match what we're giving? You, the reader, want to match? The money would be small, 50 cents, 75 cents per reader, very low. So you could say, why don't you raise this 10 times, you know? You can give 10 times what we've donated. Gives the charity another chance to connect with them, get more money in, and again, connect your most passionate readers with the causes they care about.
And if we just had 10 more seconds, the implementation value of how quickly this can be implemented, if it's a single publisher site like us, we can track the data tomorrow and be contributing in terms of our percentage. If it was something that we would span out across large volumes of big publications, small publications all over the country, all the analytics software would have to do is create an addition to their payment portal that says basically what is your monthly ad budget. And if it was volume, the CSENS people would probably be like, well, what's in it for us? Well, if there was enough volume, I'm sure there'd be a sliver of percent, you know, for revenue generation to cover the cost. But it's all for a good cause, so thank you.
Just a quick question. What if you're working for a tabloid and your readership read like 80% of entertainment-related news and only 1% of news about, for example, Syrian refugees?
Sure.
So you would be forced to give like 70% of
But the question is, what do you
explanation.
call your entertainment stuff? Is it, for example, the New Jersey Arts Council that supports grants for artists? If they're reading entertainment, you do shape it. Just because they're reading entertainment news, they've got to pick a charity. They've got to pick a cause that helps the arts and entertainment. It won't go to Beyonce. You know, that is a good question, though.
Well, really, all of the charity levels would be even, because if you were to span this out over every publication on the internet, Golf Digest only covers golf.
Yeah.
But entertainment people only cover entertainment, but news sites only cover, you know, news. So it's like if you attach this just to the clients that CSENS has, I mean, they told me what, you guys had a corner on some European markets? I mean, we're talking about like every publication in a market that's completely spread out across all different types of journalism. It's not just one type of journalism. So though one site might be heavy on the Beyonce fund, another site would be heavy on UNICEF. And because with our students, we basically take our students all over the world. When we go to Malawi, Africa, like we're not just showing up in Malawi, Africa, we're basically the guests of UNICEF. So we were able to see what amazing work these organizations were doing, and we're just looking for a better way to allocate contribution funds rather than a corporation deciding where the funds go. It should be what the readers feel.
Should you also be able to get sponsorships if an advertiser wants to tie themselves to a particular
that would be kind of obvious. It depends. Yeah, the tricky thing, you asked a good question, because the tricky thing is, you know, how do you pick the charities? It would be nice to let readers vote. It'd be nice to let readers nominate, but you get way too many, and the amount of money going to any charity is so small.
Plus, you might have controversial charities in there that might not be, that might hurt publications. So we were thinking the easiest way to do it was when a publication signs up for the Read for Life account, they would be given a list of publications, and they will say, for your world news stories, here's of the list of the charities that we have in our, you know, world news bank. Which ones would you like your readers to donate to? Which we think would solve some of the liability questions from readers choosing charities rather than the publication. If the publication is choosing their charities, well, it's their liability anyway. So.
But it is a fair question. It's whether you can let readers once a year nominate and vote for things they think should be added. It's tough when you get politics and a Fox site say, you know, do you allow people to donate to a huge list? You probably got to put some parameters on it there.
More questions?
What would you do about the possibility of awkwardness? Like you have a story about like, you know, like critical of what the Red Cross is doing in Haiti, and then it's like, you read about Haiti. Do you want to give money to the Red Cross?
I think we face that kind of already, though. You know, you run websites, you have your Delta ads showing up, I mean, already on plane crash stories. There's aviation
but these are the
stories.
publications buying in to these charities on some level, right? By giving readers.
You know, you're trying to take you're trying to be subjective to the reader's individual subjectivity and keep your objectivity as journalists. I mean, anytime you start pulling these things in, I mean, the thing with CSENS, they're going to pull, if you read a lot of aviation stories, you're going to pitch the ads to them because they read a lot of aviation stories. If you have a plane crash story, that's going to be a problem. I think that's just a fundamental issue we've all got to deal with on anything there, is that when we target it that way, if there's a scandal in the industry we're covering, the software often doesn't say, don't pull this story in because it's negative, because we're not quite sophisticated enough to say that's a negative story and you don't want that. You know, that's a bribery in soccer, so that can't be in your World Cup widget there because we got all these ads buying your ticket to the World Cup kind of thing. I think that's
I think
kind of
one thing
universal.
that actually there's two things, right? If it's entertainment based, I mean, a lot of celebrities are going to
To a cause, right.
Because it's not necessarily like they become whatever.
Right. Brad Pitt has his list on his website
Exactly. So,
of things Brad
I mean,
likes.
that could be one solution. And secondly, if the analytics software is like sophisticated enough, you can see immediately, you can track immediately if someone is, people are leaving the site of Trove, I think that you can switch it. I mean, you can have like a catalog of charities that you can test. What works well with a story based on.
Right.
I mean, we basically just tried to imagine the fund distribution engine basically just like Google AdWords. I mean, you see it, you set your budget, you tell it where you want your ads to go. If you don't want your ads there anymore, you flip a switch and it don't go there anymore.
No, it learns.
The main point is, your readers, certain ones of your readers, some of your most valuable readers are passionate about things. They read certain stories. That's why you love them. They come back all the time. They really care about foreign news. But what does they care about? Is it foreign news, or is it they care about social justice issues, environmental issues, things like that, that you can tie them into something else and make them even more loyal by adding some actual cash to their readership there. That's the trick we're trying to play with.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
There's that.
All right, we represent the McClatchy Company. A lot of you probably never heard of us. We're the third largest newspaper company in the country. We named our product Engage. We recently did an enterprise-level redesign of our sites. So we've got about 25 daily papers, countless non-dailies, and a bunch of sub-publications after that. And we monitor the feedback, obviously, from all those, from the users. And one of the most recurring themes was the advertising, especially the pop-up ads. They hated it. Thank you for getting rid of the pop-up ads. Problem is, we didn't really get rid of the pop-up ads. We disabled them for 2 days to make the user experience great. 2 days later, they showed up again. So I know the users really don't like the advertising, but most of them accept the fact that in some form or another, they need advertising to support the site, to keep the content going that they like reading. We want to reward them for interacting with our site. So by sharing content socially, by commenting, that elicits additional upvotes or responses to their comments. If you view a bunch of pages consecutively, we know that you're engaged with the site. If you repeatedly, come back several times a day or several times a week, we know that you're engaged. If you click on an ad, if you're a print subscriber, these are things that we know we have a value in. They come back to us. We don't need to bombard them with 15 ads per page because they're giving us value for our content. So for this quick demo, you'll notice up in this top corner here, I have Avid News Reader. He's got a score of 99. So when I go to click and share this story, you'll notice that the wallpaper ads have then since disappeared, and their user ranking is now 100. They reached a threshold that awarded them one less ad. Now the threshold would be like an algorithm. It's not going to be explicitly said to them what they have to do because we don't want them gaming the system saying, well, I'm just going to click 6 page views and, oh, I get the next threshold. It'll be very much like an algorithm of Google. And it'll work in reverse. So if they don't interact with the site for a couple weeks, a couple days, the point system will go back down. But the more they engage with their site, the less clutter they'll have to see to read the news. So this is a good example. And it's a little embarrassing to admit it, but this is one of our sites. This is a real-world example of advertising. We have wallpaper ads, we've got slide-down ads, it covers content. We're not happy about it, but obviously revenue is important. So we want to reward the readers for engaging with our site. So, not only, you're questioning, well, if you lose ads, well, what happens to revenue? But the value of the advertising, now that we have all this information about John Doe, we can target specific ads to him. So that instead of serving a redundant Viagra ad, we know that he's an average sports reader that reads a lot of content, and he's shared stories about his local soccer team. So instead of getting ads all over the place about all different topics, he can now get a single targeted ad, top of the page, about something that's very pertinent to what he engages in our site. He's an average sports person, he now gets a StubHub ad to buy sports tickets. So instead of getting a couple cents per ad now, we now get a much larger dollar amount that makes up for the lack of quantity of ads. So it's about quality over quantity. And this obviously is better for the reader, it's a better reader experience, and it's better for the advertiser. Because now the advertiser has a much more broad presence on the site, and when you scale down to mobile and tablet sizes, the less clutter is even more prominent because there's less room, so we don't have to compete as much with all the ads, especially the interactive ads that constantly cover content, and we really believe it'll be a benefit to the advertiser and our end user. Anything else?
We do have, I'm sorry, one other thing, we do have a page, if you click the question mark beside the your score up there, you go to a page that explains this program in a subtle way to readers, which doesn't tell you you get this number of points for doing this, because like Tom said, that would help people game the system. Otherwise, it describes it as a rewards program, which gives you a better user experience for more engagement with the site. And for another benefit for advertisers, we can have other rewards that you can earn as you get to higher levels that involve escalating discounts to advertisers' products and services, and also maybe even the chance for the most engaged readers to participate in news meetings and actually to sit in and participate in interviews with newsmakers that we do in our newsroom.
And with CSense, we've kind of found already that it allows you to basically weight potentially, just reading a story versus you share something on Facebook and it actually true traffic back to your site. The analytics dashboard, kind of lets you actually see, compare those things, and potentially you could reward more for more effective behavior.
And another benefit you pitch to advertisers is they're getting that targeted ad, but they're also competing with fewer ads. You're going after the customer that you really want, and you've got the playing field to yourself, basically.
Questions?
Anybody, would your ad sales, do you swear your ad sales guys would sign off on it?
That would probably be the hardest part.
They get more targeted ads, so the conversion rate should potentially be higher.
We agree.
We agree, yeah, tell them that. And we would also, right now, it would be cookie-based. We would really like to tie it into our subscription systems. So, if you delete your cookie, you're getting a new computer, you're not starting at zero again. But, we do have a paid subscription firewall, so we would love to tie that into that, where it follows the user no matter what device they're on or, where they are.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the jury is going to deliberate. I think if we do not fight too much, it's going to take 15 minutes. In the meantime, you can vote for your favorite project, and Law will organize this whole process. Okay. Let's go. No, maybe we can go somewhere else. Good luck.